Hi, this is John Paul Jones, and you're tuned in to Guitar.com. I have two styles on the instrument. One is as a finger style, and there's a style that I had before Zeppelin as well. I mean, I used to do finger style, but I also used to use a pick, and I had a sort of quite a percussive style like that. I'm using more on multi-string basses. You have to use a pick because it's the only way you can get the double strings to speak correctly. But no, I think it's been a long development of style probably over all the years I've been playing. Lovely. This is like a straight, like a rhythm blues style, which is finger style. I usually put my thumb here and just anchor it, just keep it steady, and just use two fingers. And okay, say Zeppelin number reference, things like Days Confused were done finger style to gives us nice warm sounds, that sort of like that. Get this right. Again, using only one finger fine. That's all I need at the moment. Okay. So that will be that. But then something like Whole Lot of Love, I'd use a pick, which would give a much more percussive sound. And that. An interesting little trick there if you want to go into it.
What's the trick? Sure.
The trick on that particular riff is that it's using octave strings on a 4-string bass. So instead of doing, it sounds fairly weak. You slide up and you hit those two strings in unison. So it goes, and then hit these in octaves. So there's always two strings playing at any time, which gives it that power, which a lot of people don't know.
When the guitar magazines transcribe the song, do they get it right?
No. No, they don't know what's happening now. They're just right. Well, one of the things I suppose that probably influenced the style required for bass in Zeppelin was that there's a lot of room. There's only drums and guitar are the only other instruments, and if the voice stops and say Page is soloing high, as he often does, then there's really only the bass carrying all the tonal and harmonic material, and so you end up having to suggest more than you play harmonically for a start. Otherwise you're always running up and down all the time, which I tried not to do. So the idea was to imply harmonics and then use lead lines for dynamics more than anything. Then there was times when I would require a melody line in the bass, but not as if it was supposed to be a guitar line, but literally a bass melody line, so that it had its proper function as a bass. I'm keeping the fundamentals and suggesting the harmony, all those sort of things, and rhythm, but was yet still melodic and not interfere with the voice or the guitar. And one instance of that was in What Is and What Should Never Be. It's very melodic. And then it would go, the second part of the riff would be much more percussive and rhythmic. I just realised it's also quite hard to play. It's easy to do with the drums, actually. That sort of thing. So that you employ all those different styles. Then there's bass as riff. It's like Black Dog. In fact, I use a pick to give it more noise. I haven't played this for a while either. I'm actually doing that in the show as well, but I play it on the steel guitar, which is why I've suddenly found it strange to do it on the bass again.
Yeah, I understand your set incorporates a number of Zeppelin.
It does,
sort of reinvented.
It does, yeah. Well, there's no vocals, so I have to. So generally, I'm playing them all on steel guitar. I take the lead line on the steel.
Was that liberating to be able to take these and put them in a new context?
Yeah. It's odd because the old cues are kind of inbuilt. And suddenly your cues that were mine, I would start saying, well, wait a minute, now I've got to wait for somebody else to do this, So, but it's nice. I mean, people seem to like them as well, although they're not sung.
Do that as much.
Again, it depends on the style of music you're playing. I mean, when I was doing sessions a lot, if I was doing a rhythm and blues thing, I'd probably not incorporate those devices quite so much. But I always tended to be, I like the bass to sound fairly warm, just more musical reasons rather than guitar reasons. Just gives the notes a little bit more life if you just have a tiny bit of vibrato, either bent like that or even just a little finger vibrato like that. Just gives it a bit more warmth and a bit more life. That's a tricky one. I find that even if you duplicate equipment with a player that perhaps you're trying to emulate, you soon realise that it's really not the equipment at all. I mean, for instance, with drums, John Bonham could literally play cardboard boxes and he sounded like John Bonham immediately. I've seen him sit down and play like toy drums and it just sounds the same. It's the way you play it. And I can pick up all sorts of strange instruments and still I play them in a certain way, and people can recognise it. Common mistakes: maybe playing too much, not varying. I mean, I never play the same thing twice. Sometimes because I simply can't remember it. But I just, in order to stay awake myself, I tend to, even a simple riff, I'll tend to change around, just move beats backwards and forwards, and something like Heartbreak, it's like that is really it. But I'll, and then just when I might play a lot of notes, I won't. I'll just leave a hole. And constant variation. So I suppose if you want to play like me, you've just got to keep it varied, keep it moving all the time. Well, it comes in how you vary the rhythm and how you place the rhythm, whether you whether you push it or whether you just lean back on it. It depends again on how flexible your drummer is. But then the whole harmonic thing comes into play. How you place your harmonies, how you counterpoint your notes, whether you play root or whether you thirds in the bottom, or the way you place it with the voice. Bass, more than anybody else, has to listen to what's going on. And you have to fit in, you have to lead, you have to glue it together. Because you should what the voice is doing, and what everybody's doing. And then the band will sound good. I mean, what you sound like is kind of immaterial. And I think that's actually what where a lot of musicians do go wrong, is they just think, oh well, I'm going to sound great. I even know people who actually try and wrong foot the other members of the band so they sound better, not realizing that if the band sounds bad, they'll sound bad with it. Some people simply don't get that idea. And if the band sounds good, it doesn't matter what you did. Everyone thinks, wow, he's a bass player of a great band. So. Yeah, I do. In fact, it was we used to have contests and just how far you can lay back and still keep it grooving. It was quite funny. It's actually quite instructive as to where, because you can actually lean quite forward or lean quite the way back and still keep it grooving. And in fact, it's a valid musical dynamic to do that. If you want chorus to actually just step up a little bit, you can just push a little bit harder without speeding up. An accomplished musician should be able to do that. He should know how to place beats to change a groove and to harden a groove, or to just lay back for verse and then backen up for chorus or something like that. It's all part of it. A simple blues type shuffle, which is just basically right on the beat, behind the beat. Make it sloppy. You can lean right back and go. And still, or you can lean right forward and go. The same beat. It's just whether you put it at the leading edge or right behind. It's the beat that's precise. Where you play on it, as long as you can maintain it. If you're behind it, as I was playing there, the beat was still there. The fact that you're behind it or in front of it means that it's got to be there to be behind or in front of, and that must maintain. It's like they used to have drum machines, and they had a humanizing control, and the manufacturer's idea of humanizing a drum machine was having to play random. And of course, it just sounded completely out of time. It was random. Musicians don't play randomly. Well, not the ones I try and deal with anyway. You'd humanize it by changing it in a controlled way, And so, because if you randomize it, the beat just disappears. It just disintegrates. It's not there anymore. And so, even if you imply the beat, it's got to be there. You've got to. So the beat is the thing that's precise, and where you place your notes gives it the feel. That's where the feel comes from. Try not to do too much, especially on the bass, otherwise it can get tedious. You can't hear the notes. It's very low. Do fills high, do rhythm low, that sort of thing. I find it for bass it's kind of more interesting not to play occasionally than to actually put stuff in. And if you're looking for fills, that's not a very good advice, of course. But some fills can be silent, and that's very effective. Reggae is extremely good at using those devices. You'll literally just play for half a bar and leave the other half a bar to the drums and to everything else, and it's extremely effective. I can't do that now because as soon as I start playing, you won't hear anything. Do fills that make sense musically. It goes the same for any instrument. Do fills that fill, that have a reason. You know, if you can't think of a reason for a note to play, don't play it. But it supports or it leads harmonically. From that, you know. It just, you know, it takes you to the next. You know, make sure you keep all the fundamentals in the right place and doing the right thing. Don't have the fills interfere with any of the mechanics of the song. And then it just, as you say, it just embellishes and just adds interest to the part. But if you do it too much, you'll obscure the part.